Hello everyone. After the reading concept, let's go to writing today. All right. In this video, I'll be helping you understand what are the sentence structures, which is the writing. All right. Okay. Now, what is a sentence? My first question is, what is a sentence? A sentence is a group of words which convey meaning, isn't it? That is a sentence. Now, a group of words, in order to convey meaning to you, what should it consist of, right? These group of words should be the subject, the verb and the object. Unless and until you have the subject, verb and object, it is difficult to understand a sentence. Sometimes the sentences convey meaning but they don't convey the complete meaning. So the first aspect that we have to learn today is sentence structure. Now what do you understand by the word structure? Structure means design, isn't it? Design, the way you design the sentence. Now I am going to teach you how to design your sentences, right? In order to understand how to write appropriate sentences which convey complete meaning to you, you need to understand a few aspects of writing sentences first. Alright, so I'm going to put up two words here and let me see if you understand what they are. Okay, the first one is a phrase. Okay, and the second that I would like you to know is a clause. Right, you must have heard these two words in English grammar, right? And they are very commonly used when sentence structures are taught to you. Now, what is a phrase and what is a clause? To understand these very easily, I'll give you examples for a phrase and an example for a clause. Alright. So, now for a phrase, I would say flying birds. Alright. Flying birds. And for a clause, I would like to say the beautiful rose. Okay, though this is not a part of your textbook example, flying birds is there in your textbook. The beautiful rose is actually not there in the text as an example, trying to make things easy for you. Now flying birds is considered a phrase. Why is it considered a phrase? Because those two words, flying and birds, is not giving you complete meaning. Flying birds. Now what's happening to the flying birds? Were the flying birds shot at? Were the flying birds flying in the wrong direction? Were the flying birds, flying away from our state? What is the meaning that they are trying to convey? It is not clear. So they are considered a phrase. And if you look at the next one, the beautiful rose. What is it telling you? It tells you it's talking to you about a rose, and it is also telling you that the rose is beautiful. The first one is difficult to understand, but the second one is easy to understand because it is conveying complete meaning to you, isn't it? Right? Now, another easy hint to understand phrase and a clause. If you look at clause, the C, okay, look at the word letter C. The C stands for complete, which means complete meaning. A group of words which convey complete meaning is a clause. So the C for complete is a C for clause. That's very easy to relate and understand and remember. Remember the word complete for C. So in case the sentence is giving you complete meaning, it is a clause. But in case the sentence is not conveying a complete meaning, it is a phrase. There are so many phrases that we use in our day-to-day language, in our communication, in our written mode, even when you are reading, you come across all this. So a phrase is a group of words which do not convey complete meaning, but a clause is again a group of words which convey complete meaning. In other words, a clause is also a sentence. Sentence because it conveys complete meaning to you. The easiest way to understand this is this, okay? So a phrase does not convey complete meaning and a clause conveys complete meaning to you. Now coming to the next aspect of reading, which is, I'm going to do another aspect, so that you find it easy to do the exercises in your textbook, okay? Now, the other two aspects of, writing are, yes, the first one is called independent. Independent clause, and the second one is dependent. Dependent clause. Very common in sentence structures while writing your sentences. These are two common things that you come across. Alright, okay. Now, independent clause and dependent clause. Forget about the word clause because I already told you that what is a clause? A clause is a group of words which convey complete meaning to you, or they are also considered a sentence, because as I said, a sentence has to convey complete meaning. Alright, so the clause is giving you complete meaning. Now look at the word independent and look at the word dependent. Now to find out the simple meaning of the word independent, what does that mean? Independence means free, isn't it? Free. Your independence is freedom, isn't it? It is liberal. Fine. Now when you look at the next word dependent, dependent means you are not free. It is not free. You are depending on somebody. You are not doing something all on your own, right? You are depending on something. That is dependency, right? Okay, now look at independent clause. Independent clause, the word independent itself means that that sentence that you are writing is not depending for something else to convey the meaning. Alright? A sentence, when it is independent, it conveys 100% meaning to you. You don't have to read the sentence further for any other attachment sentences to understand the meaning. It can stand on its own, it can give you complete meaning. That is independent clauses. Now, dependent clauses are dependent. Now, they are dependent upon a few words that precede them, or a few words which are after them. So, a dependent clause does not convey meaning. You are unable to understand the meaning because you either have to read the first part of the sentence or read the second, or the other last half of the sentence to understand the meaning. Which means these group of words in a dependent clause are dependent on a few more words before them or after them, right? So dependent clauses give you partial meaning. They give you incomplete meaning, alright? So this is independent and dependent clauses. Now to give you an example of an independent clause which I am taking from your textbook itself is the sentence, right? For example, for independent clause, let me write it here. I wore a shirt. I wore a shirt, right? I wore a shirt. Is it giving you complete meaning? You can understand that I wore a shirt. Is there anything difficult for you to understand, to not follow? You are able to understand it, right? It is standing on its own. It is conveying you complete meaning, right? Now, if you look at the dependent, clauses, you will start saying the shirt I wore. Yeah. The moment you say the shirt I wore, now the shirt I wore, what happened next? What is next? You don't know. So now this few words should have some continuity, isn't it? Now I wore a shirt which I purchased. Let me make this easy for you. Which I bought. Okay. Now here, if you look at the first one, the shirt I wore. Okay. This is the first part of your sentence, which is not conveying meaning. It is dependent, which is given here. Which I bought from the mall. Unless and until the shirt I wore is continued by which I bought from the mall is actually not conveying complete meaning. Now that is a dependent clause, alright. So a group of words which do not convey complete meaning, which cannot stand on its own, are called dependent clauses. Now very easily I can erase this. I can erase this to help you understand it better, okay. If I do this here, okay. I do this here. I say, the shirt I wore. Now what is happening here? You are having three dots here. Now you have to fill up the blanks. Isn't it? The shirt I wore. Now what is this? What is the shirt I wore? What are you trying to tell us when you use this phrase, the shirt I wore? So such, words, group of words are dependent clauses. So very easy to understand. The word independent actually helps you understand. Independent means that which can stand on its own, that which is free, that which conveys 100% meaning. That is independent. Dependent is, it is depending on some other group of words. It is depending on the second half or the first half of the words that is written in a sentence. So these are the few things that you have to understand while writing sentences. Alright, you need to understand that. If you look at your page on page number 17, you have an exercise which is given here, which talks about separate the following into two groups, phrases and clauses. The sentences which are given here, you are actually supposed to separate them. You have to read them carefully, understand and tell us if it is a phrase or a clause. Let's read together. The first sentence is mesmerizing quotes on life from social media. Mesmerizing quotes are very memorable quotes. Good writers and philosophers, authors have come up with very good quotes. Vivekananda, Lord Buddha, yeah, Jesus Christ. They all have come up with different quotes and proverbs, right? So, mesmerizing quotes on life from social media. Now, what you understand is the quotes which you are reading are on life. They are from social media. Now, who has written those quotes? What are these quotes mesmerizing about? Nothing is understood. So, this sentence is dangling, it is hanging, alright? Which means it is not conveying complete meaning. Now, is that a phrase or a clause? Yes, you are right. It is a phrase. Why is it a phrase? Because it is conveying incomplete meaning, right? Now, look at the second sentence here. The students are shouting. Yeah, a very popular scenario in the classrooms. Unfortunately, you are at home listening to me on my video, so you don't have options to, you don't have choices of shouting and making a lot of noise in the classrooms. So here, this is very clear in meaning, isn't it? The students are shouting. Is it giving you complete meaning? What are the students doing? They're shouting. It's so clear, plain and simple, isn't it? Now, what is this? Is it a phrase or a clause? Very good. It is a clause because it is giving you complete meaning. Fine. Now look at the next one. Life-threatening diseases. Oh my God. This scenario apt sentence here, isn't it? Life-threatening diseases. Now there are not one, two or three. There are plenty. And topping all the list is corona, isn't it? Now life-threatening diseases. You're talking about life-threatening diseases. Okay, you have understood that. Life-threatening diseases. What are they? Why are they mentioned here? What are they doing? You are unable to understand it. The second part of the sentence is incomplete. So life-threatening diseases are right phrases because they are not conveying you the complete meaning. Fine. Next one. Gold price has hit all-time high. Is it that conveying complete meaning or is it giving you only partial meaning? It is conveying complete meaning. You are able to understand what is happening with the metal called gold. Gold price has hit an all-time high. Now again, very apt for the present situation. The prices of gold are 50,000 plus. Yeah, 50,000 plus for 10 grams. And they have hit an all-time high, isn't it? Which is very clearly understood here. Which means this particular, these group of words are actually a clause because they are conveying complete meaning. Now look at the next one. An all-time favorite song. An all-time favorite song. Yes, you understand that somebody is talking about their all-time favorite song. But what is the song? Yeah, which language is it sung? Is it an old song? Is it a new song? Or is it is it pop? Is it rock? You don't know anything. You only know that it's an all-time favorite song. So the song is a, question mark here. You don't know. So again, as you know, yes, again you are right. It is a phrase because it is conveying only partial meaning. Another word, which is another sentence which is given here is well designed but badly executed welfare program. Very clear to understand. You understood that it is a welfare program. It was very, badly, it was well designed, okay, a welfare program. It was well designed but badly executed, which means the execution was not good. Very clearly understood, isn't it? Right, that is a clause now. And if you look at the last one, I wonder why. I wonder why. You do this. I wonder why. Now, what are you wondering about? What is making you wonder? You don't know. It is incomplete. I wonder why I am giving you this video lecture. That will give you complete meaning, isn't it? I wonder why I am taking these online classes, isn't it? That is again conveying complete meaning. But if I only say I wonder why, now you will be in a confusion. What am I wondering about? Yeah? What is it that she is wondering? What is this that has made her wonder? Isn't it? Incomplete again. And as you have told me, as you are already telling me this, yes, you are right. It is a phrase. Okay. So this was just to help you understand the difference between a phrase and a clause. So just to wind up what I was talking about, phrases and clauses. Phrases are incomplete in meaning, whereas clauses are conveying complete meaning to you, and clauses are also called sentences because they consist of a subject, a verb and an object, and they give you complete meaning without putting you into a state of confusion. You understand everything properly. And now coming to dependent and independent clauses. As I told you, dependent clauses depend on a few words before them or a few words after them because they cannot stand on its own. They cannot convey complete meaning to you. They are dependent clauses. So in order to connect the previous topic here, dependent clauses are more or less called phrases, isn't it? In the same manner, if you look at independent clauses, they are independent. They are not dependent on anybody. They are free because they convey complete meaning to you in the sentence, right? So they actually consist of a subject, a verb and an object. If you look at the example which I have given you here, it will make it very easy to understand what is independent clause and what is dependent clause, right? Okay. Now coming to another aspect of writing, which again I'm sure you must have learned in your school, when grammar was taught to you, and that is again, let me put them on the board for you so that you understand it better. Sometimes what happens is you students are confused to identify or to indicate which sentences we are talking about. So I'm going to talk about three types of sentences that we have all learned from our childhood. The first one is called a simple sentence. Okay, a simple sentence. The second is called a compound sentence. And the third is called a complex sentence. Now, what is the difference between a simple sentence, a compound sentence and a complex sentence? Now if you have to connect this to what you learned earlier, right? In the previous, just a little earlier, what was I talking to you about? I was talking to you about independent clauses and dependent clauses. I spoke to you about them so that it will be easy for you to differentiate between simple, compound and complex sentences. A very simple method of understanding the difference between these sentences is a simple sentence has one independent clause, or a simple sentence is just an independent clause. Now I told you an independent clause is actually a meaningful sentence. So when you are supposed to identify a simple sentence, you should try to see, does it have an independent sentence or does it have a dependent sentence? If it is a dependent sentence, if it is depending for a few more words, forget about it being a simple sentence. A simple sentence does not depend on any other words to be added to it. Rather, it is independent. Okay, a sentence which has a subject, a verb and an object and which conveys complete meaning to you is a simple sentence. Okay, the example that I would like to give you here is a simple sentence is let me write it here. Examples. I attend online classes. I attend online classes. Okay? I attend online classes. Is it giving you complete meaning? Yes? It is telling you what you are doing, isn't it? You are all attending online classes regularly, isn't it? You are attending it every day, right? So, I attend online classes. I attend online classes is conveying complete meaning. It is not dependent on any other words preceding it or after it. Very clearly understood. That is a simple sentence. Simple sentences are always simple. Alright, very easy to understand. Now look at the next one, compound sentences. Let me explain what compound sentences are. Okay, the compound sentences are very easy to understand, right? A compound sentence is a combination of two independent clauses. Okay, a compound sentence has independent clause, yeah, plus a conjunction plus an independent clause. Alright. So this is the structure of a compound sentence. Now how can you identify a compound sentence? You have to look for an independent clause which is added by a conjunction to another independent clause, which means this part of the sentence is conveying complete meaning to you. This part of the sentence is also conveying complete meaning to you, but what is happening here? These two clauses, independent clauses, are added together, are combined, alright, through a conjunction. That is why it is called a compound sentence. A compound sentence is nothing but an independent sentence which is connected by a conjunction to another independent sentence, and it is very easy to identify a compound sentence because it has the presence of a conjunction. Now what are conjunctions? You know, helping verbs. Verbs which add one sentence to another and make it a complete sentence. Okay, like for example, words like and, yeah, also, and but. Okay, these are very simple words which you connect the first independent clause to the second independent clause with. Okay, you add these words and connect them. Okay, now I am going to give you an example, right? Example of a compound sentence where it is connected with a conjunction. I attend online classes and I go for music classes. Okay, now look at this word here. I attend online classes. The whole sentence is giving you complete meaning. Now here and is your conjunction which you are using to add, you know, this sentence to this sentence. You say I attend online classes and I go for music classes. So you're adding both of them with the conjunction called and. Now try using the independent clause with the conjunction called but, therefore, also, so. There are all these words are conjunctions which actually give meaning to a sentence. The first part of the sentence is connected to the second part of the sentence using a conjunction, and once you locate the conjunction, it is understood that it is a compound sentence. Now, there might be sentences in the complex sentences where you have the conjunction, but the second half of the sentence is not conveying complete meaning. Such sentences, just because you find a conjunction there, you cannot say that they are compound sentences. A compound sentence, the by rule, should have a complete sentence in the beginning, connected with a conjunction, and a complete sentence at the end. So these two things are something that you have to keep in mind in order to identify a compound sentence. Now coming to the complex sentence. Now what are complex sentences? Complex sentences have one independent clause. Okay, complex sentences, like a simple sentence, have one independent clause. In the simple sentence, what have I taught you? Simple sentences are one independent clause, right? But then a complex sentence is something which has one independent clause and two or more dependent clauses. Okay, one independent clause which has two or more dependent clauses. Okay, it's not one independent and one dependent. It has two, at least two independent clause and two dependent clauses. Make it a complex sentence. Sometimes it can be more than two. So that's another way of understanding. A complex sentence, first thing is you should locate an independent sentence there, an independent clause, followed by, or sometimes preceding. They precede. Dependent clauses followed by an independent clause. Okay, I'll give you an example here from your textbook itself. In your textbook, you have a sentence like, I'll read it out for you. The textbook, that sentence is a little lengthy, so let me read it out for you. Now, a complex sentence. Yeah, it is, I wore a new shirt yesterday that I had bought at the airport and had it altered at the railway station. Now here, the independent clause is, I wore a new shirt yesterday. Is it clear? Have you understood it? The meaning is very clear, isn't it? You wore a new shirt yesterday. That is an independent clause. That is a requirement of a complex sentence, which is followed by two dependent clauses. Now, what is the first clause here? That I had bought at the airport. Now, you wore a new shirt yesterday that you bought at the airport and you had it altered at the railway station. So, one independent clause is followed by two dependent clauses. If you look at the dependent clause, they cannot convey complete meaning and they cannot give, they are not complete sentences. The, dependent clause here is that I had bought at the airport. If you look at it in isolation, that I had bought at the airport. What have you bought at the airport? Is it giving you complete meaning? It is not giving you complete meaning. And the second half of the sentence says, and had it altered at the railway station. Now, and had it altered at the railway station, it is conveying some meaning, but it is not conveying the complete meaning. What did you get it altered? What was altered at the railway station? What was bought at the airport? So these two sentences are dependent clauses and they are not conveying complete meaning, and so they are considered complex sentences. Just to review what I did so far, I spoke about three aspects of sentence structures. The first aspect that I spoke about with you was clauses and phrases. Phrases are words which do not convey complete meaning. Clauses are a group of words which convey complete meaning. Then I spoke about independent clauses and dependent clauses. Independent clauses are clauses which can stand on its own, which can convey 100% meaning to you, which is very clearly understood by the reader without any confusion. Whereas dependent clauses are a group of words which do not convey complete meaning and which are not understood by the readers clearly. Fine? So those are dependent clauses. And then I spoke to you about the three types of sentences, which is simple, compound and complex. Alright, a simple sentence is a sentence which has a subject, a verb and an object. In order to understand, to give you clarity, simple sentences are very easy to understand and not, they are not dependent on something, right? Or in order to, call them with a different terminology, you can say they are independent clauses. If you look at a compound sentences are one independent clause which is connected by a conjunction like and, also, between, so, but. These are conjunctions where you connect one independent sentence to another independent sentence, which means a compound sentence has two independent sentences which are connected by a conjunction. And now coming to the complex sentence. A complex sentence, the rule is that you have one independent sentence which is followed by two or more dependent clauses, right? So one part of the sentence is conveying complete meaning and the other two parts of the sentence are not conveying complete meaning. Now I would suggest that you do the exercises here on page number 17 of your textbook to help you understand all these terminologies of sentence structures more clearly. Thank you so much. God bless.